Welcome back. We get you big breaking news update coming in with regards to the forced religious conversion issues. The centre has now filed an affidavit in the top court and has said that it is cognizant of the gravity and seriousness of the issue and that the issue will be taken up in all seriousness by the centre, that appropriate steps will be taken. Also stating that public order is a state subject following states that already have a legislation. They are Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka and Haryana. So that's the centre now filing an affidavit in the top court with regards to the forced conversions issue.
So it was around 2 weeks back when forced conversions, religious conversions are said to be dangerous, was pointed out by the Supreme Court, as the court said that they affect the security of the nation, and the Supreme Court had emphasized that it urged the union government to step in and apprise the court of the measures that were being taken of such occurrences. The court thereafter had issued notices to the union ministries of Home Affairs, Law and Justice to file their counter affidavits, and to this effect we are looking at an answer coming from the government side saying that they are aware of the gravity and the seriousness of the situation. In fact, many states also highlighting have already taken up legislations in a way to stop such kind of mass forced conversions that are taking place and on a rampant basis. Now at this point, when several instances were also pointed out to the Supreme Court had been saying, as far as when it comes to compromising national security, forced conversions that are taking place, and the government must answer if there is a serious matter and it goes against the interest of the nation. Everybody that has a right to choose their religion, but not by force or giving some temptation, it is a very dangerous thing that was observed by the bench previously. Harish, what is the counter and the response coming in from the government side?
Yes, very significant as far as the issue of forced religious conversion is concerned. The centre has filed its affidavit. I remember Supreme Court had on November 14th sought the view of the centre, saying that it's a very serious issue and religious conversion by force cannot be, it's not acceptable. And the centre has today filed an affidavit saying that centre is cognizant of the gravity and seriousness of the issue will be taken up in all seriousness by the centre. Appropriate steps will be taken by the centre. At the verbatim it says, centre is cognizant of the gravity and seriousness of the issue raised in the petition. Such enactments are necessary. Such a law is necessary for protecting cherished rights of vulnerable sections of the society, including women and economically and socially backward classes. Public order is a state subject following states have already enacted a legislation. They are Orissa, MP, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand and UP. But at the same time, relief sought in the present petition will be taken up in all seriousness by the centre and appropriate steps shall be taken as the centre is cognizant of the menace. So very, very important words coming in from the centre's affidavit. Okay. Centre says that it is cognizant of the issue and as per the direction of the Supreme Court, it will be enacting a law. Before that, there will be consultation with all the stakeholders. Though 9 states have already enacted a state-wise legislation in this regard, a pan-India law will also might be
remember,
on the
Harish,
anvil.
it was the top court that had asked the centre to step in and make sincere efforts to check the practice of forced religious conversions. Pranesh, if I could quickly come to you to take us through the details of the affidavit that has been filed by the centre.
Just days ahead of voting in Gujarat, this is a massive news break and this will have large ramifications. I have the affidavit, Harish Nair, our legal editor, breaking the story first, much ahead of others. Point number 20. We have no doubt, this is the centre saying this, we have no doubt that it is in this sense that the word propagate has been used in Article 25(1). For what the article grants is not the right to convert another person to one's own religion, but to transmit or spread one's religion by an exposition of its tenets. It has to be remembered that Article 25(1) guarantees freedom of conscience. This is important. It's meant to every citizen and not merely to followers of one particular religion, and that in turn postulates that there is no fundamental right to convert another person to one's own religion, because if a person purposefully undertakes the conversion of another person to his religion as distinguished from his effort to transmit or spread the tenets of his religion, that would impinge on the freedom of conscience guaranteed to all the citizens of the country alike. The next important point is point number 24. The centre says expression public order is of wide connotation. It must have the connotation which it is meant to provide as the very first entry in list 2. It has been held by this court, and then they are talking about the Ramesh Thapar versus the state of Maharashtra Madras case, that public order is an expression of wide connotation and signifies state of tranquility that prevails among members of a political society as a result of internal regulations enforced by the government which they have established. As we scroll down, on page number 7, it says it is submitted that therefore enactments in the nature of the acts mentioned above, which seek to control and curb the menace of organized, sophisticated, large-scale, illegal conversion, have been upheld by this honorable court. It is submitted that the Union of India is cognizant of the gravity, the centre is cognizant of the gravity of the menace called forced religious conversion and the seriousness of the issue raised in the present writ petition. It is submitted that such enactments are necessary to protect cherished rights of vulnerable sections of society, including women and economically and socially backward classes. Because remember the couple of news breaks that we did on Times Now,
right,
that had people offering one particular community money, luring them to embrace one religion. Point number 10, it is submitted that the public order is a state subject, and in pursuance to the same, various states over the course of the years have passed enactments, and the centre in its affidavit listing the states that have anti-conversion law: Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Haryana. In light of the above, it is submitted that the reliefs sought in the present petition would be taken up in all seriousness by the Union of India, and appropriate steps shall be taken as the central government is cognizant of the menace.
Absolutely. Pranesh, thanks very much. Siddharth is also with us. Siddharth, this was on the basis of the PIL, rather, that was filed in court. That court made those observations saying that these are the tactics. Conversions are all right, but religious forced conversions are not, especially when the means of fraud and intimidation are used.
Absolutely, Amita. And I'd like to draw the attention of our viewers to a very important prayer that had actually been included in the application that had been originally filed by Ashwini Upadhyay. And if I could just read this out, this is point C of the summarization of the affidavit that's now been submitted by the central government. One of the prayers that had actually been sought by Ashwini Upadhyay was to direct the Law Commission of India to prepare a report as well as a bill to control religious conversion by intimidation, threatening, deceivingly luring through gifts as well as monetary benefits. So the petitioner in this case, it's important to point out, actually wanted the matter to be referred to the Law Commission and also come out possibly with a national law to curb illegal or forced as well as induced conversions. Now it's very interesting in this specific context to listen or to hear what the central government has actually submitted to the Supreme Court. It says in point 12, and Pranesh had also read through this, it says it's submitted that the reliefs sought in the present petition would be taken up in all seriousness. So this also includes the relief that has been applied for by Ashwini Upadhyay, that a central law be brought in. It would be taken up in all seriousness by the Union of India, and appropriate steps shall be taken as the central government is cognizant of this menace. So the central government clearly recognizes the gravity of the problem at hand, and it also says that the present limited affidavit, this is point number 12, is being filed in pursuance to and in compliance of the direction dated 14th of November. The Union of India reserves liberty to file a further detailed affidavit to the present petition. So right now what's been filed by the central government is only a limited affidavit. It perhaps might actually extrapolate and expound on some of the other prayers that have been listed by Ashwini Upadhyay in much greater detail in a future submission to follow. So the central government as of this point, and that's one of the big takeaways, is not ruling out the possibility of bringing in a national law against conversion, at least in principle. That's the big takeaway, Amita, as well as Kritzvi.
Okay, so that's the